Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Beauty Lies Beyond podcast with me, Miriam Rose. Today, I want to share something that I have been refusing to share for the longest time because I've been scared to share it. I've been scared to sit by myself and start doing what I now believe to probably be my purpose. Well, as at this morning. So I want to talk about something that has actually been pushing me to bring out the last, I think, couple of weeks. And that is forgiveness. So I am, for those who don't know, I am a mindset and spiritual wellness coach. And I've done this since 2018. I'm also a trained lawyer and advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And in my life, in my adulthood, I've come across so many people and I have been able to see things that keep making me question things. And one of the things that I know that I was questioning was how come people know things or seem to know things or seem to have experienced things, but they don't seem to change. Like, why are people still suffering? Why are people not progressing? Why are people not prospering? So this is a question I was also asking about myself. So at some point in my life, it just kept feeling like I was going through a loop of sorts. Like, let's say in the last 7 years, I would do something and there was no progress. So one time, as I was doing this podcast, I kept meeting people who told me who kept repeating the same thing. They kept saying that your progress is there, it's imminent. Your prosperity is imminent, your money is there. Because I just kept asking, where's my money? Why isn't it coming? I'm such a hard worker. Why am I not progressing? And then they kept saying the same thing. Your money is coming, but there's something standing between you and that. Let's just call it prosperity. So I asked what thing. So one of the ladies, we were doing a pranic healing session, and she said, the thing that is standing between you and your success is forgiveness. And I literally was like, what do you mean forgiveness? Like in my head anyway. Because when I scanned across like my life, the way I appear to myself is I forgive very easily. Or do I though? So this was the adventure, which is what has brought me to sit here today. So I scanned across like my friends, my family, everyone. And I was like, no, I think I've forgiven everyone. And I think I have done everything that I can. But I know enough to know that I shouldn't just push it away. So I just kept it in the back of my mind and decided, okay, I'm going to look into this forgiveness thing, because now what I've learned is if you want to move forward, you cannot go to the next class. Using an analogy of school, you can't go to the next class if you haven't completed the previous class and done the exams. Therefore, I knew that if I don't look into that forgiveness thing, I wouldn't move ahead. And I was sick and tired of not moving ahead, of not getting my money, my success, my prosperity, and all that. So I put a note to look into forgiveness. And once I opened myself up to that I opened that chapter in my book, things started happening. So I started coming across people and certain tools, which I'm going to share today, that started opening up things I didn't even know about. So the first thing that happened is once when I opened that door to forgiveness, and as I was doing my meditations like maybe at night or in the morning, I started noticing that I started having dreams and memories, or I started meeting people and situations which I had long forgotten but required forgiveness. So an example, I think that same week, I found myself in a situation which reminded me that there are some people that I had never forgiven. It turns out now is when I started realizing, oh my God, I actually thought it's a mental concept. Forgiveness is a mental concept. It's one thing, you don't have to wait for people to say sorry, because people would never say sorry. And secondly, it's not a mental concept that you just say, I've forgiven them. It has to be an emotional thing. So what happened that weekend is that I was in a situation where the wound was reopened and I had to confront myself and acknowledge to myself that I had been hurt and then just let it go. But it wasn't easy, which is why I understand why forgiveness is such a thing. It's the thing that holds us from our freedom. Therefore, after that, like I said, I started meeting more and more situations which required me to forgive. It was just small things like I would remember something, see something in the house, and or I maybe noticed that I had lost something. Maybe someone stole something from me, and I started feeling it in my body, like pain or something, and started realizing, oh, that pain means I haven't forgiven. Okay, that's interesting. And then I'm very committed to do shadow work, so I started doing the shadow work. But that wasn't enough. More and more and more started coming up. But the good news is, the more I forgave, the more I started sitting with the pain, more things started coming up, but also life around me started changing. I started meeting more people with higher frequency. So let me explain. So what happens is, lack of forgiveness is very low vibration. It's very low frequency. So the more you remove the heart, or you face the heart and you sit with it and you process it, you rise. It's like a balloon that is inside like water, and then it's being held down. And then the more you release, the more the balloon can come up for air. And the more you rise, the higher the vibration. So that's what actually started happening. And I could tell around me that I started meeting people who are more loving, more kind, more respectful, because I started becoming more kind to myself, more compassionate, more respectful. So when they say that if you want to change the world, you change yourself, that's what they mean. So forgiveness is your route to freedom. If you want freedom from literally anything, you have to forgive. And like I said, you do not have to wait for anyone to come apologize. You have to do the forgiving. So before I go to the tool that has now completely transformed me, I noticed something else. The more I forgave even the slightest of things, the more came up to be dealt with, the more kept coming up in the form of emotions, in the form of people and circumstances. The more you forgive, the more you need to forgive. So it's an unending journey. It's the journey to be taken. So I met this other lady afterwards. She's a psychic, and I'll bring her to the podcast. She told me that the pains and the traumas and the negative energies that we go through are usually stored in the body. And one of the places that these pain and traumas are stored is the womb. So for the rest of this session, I'm going to be talking to women and people who have wombs. The womb, WOMB. So the womb is an information bank. It has muscle memory, and it stores and absorbs trauma, negative experiences, and energies. The funny part is that it's not just the womb storing this information or energetic imprints of this lifetime. Your womb holds up to even further generations. It holds the imprints and the traumas and the negative experiences of your mom, and the same for your grandma and the women in your lineage. So if you've ever had people talking about generational trauma, this trauma is held in the womb. So my psychic friend recommended that I use a tool called womb healing. And I'm going to do an audio for it, like an audio that can help you, like a 5 to 7 minutes meditation exercise. But also there is one that I'm still going to link in this video that is on YouTube, which has really transformed my life. So for people who would like to know if womb healing is for you, I came up with a list of things which you may listen to and decide for yourself whether this is something that you've gone through. And if you have, then you should take this tool. So if you have pain, if you've gone through pain that has been passed to you by other people, be it your family, be it your friends, be it your partner, if you have had pain that's been passed to you by others, then this might be the tool that you need. If you have had your boundaries violated, if you're feeling sexually unsafe or you have felt sexually unsafe at any point in your life, whether you're young or old or at any stage in your life, this is for you. If you have faced molestation or felt disrespected at any point, if you have faced sexual abuse or have been physically violated, if you have had sex for money or survival, or you have had intercourse that felt emotionally disconnected, if you have had one-night stands, this is not supposed to make you feel shame or guilt. And shame and guilt is something that we'll talk about in a separate session. What I've come to learn is every intercourse that you have with someone leaves energetic imprints, which can last you up to 7 years. There is some people who say that you might be suppressing your progress if you sleep with the wrong person. And wrong person to mean if their vibration is lower than yours, they can pull your vibration down because sexual energy is very potent energy. To go on with the list, to be able to remove any toxic cords on a cell level, you may also do this womb healing. If you've had trauma bonding with a sexual partner or mistaken trauma bonding for real love, if you have had invasive procedures which has caused you suffering during the procedures, all this is stored in your womb. If you've had or encountered pregnancy or childbirth complications that caused you suffering, if you've had miscarriage or a stillbirth, and if you've had abnormal cells in your reproductive organs, or if you've had autoimmune issues in your reproductive organs. So the last two, the abnormal cells and the autoimmune issues, are usually an extreme form of self-protection by the body. So if this is something that your cells pick up on continuously and energetically and also genetically, epigenetically, these are some of the issues that come up in your reproductive health, be it fibroids, any of those issues are just your body's defense mechanism. And finally, if you've had STDs and infections, you should do a womb healing. Before I go further, this should not be taken as medical advice. You need to consult your doctor in the relevant cases. But if any of these things in this list resonate for you, I would highly suggest that you try and do this womb healing. And it is good if you take it in stride. When I tried doing it for myself, like I said, I was going through the journey of forgiveness. I noticed that so many buried memories started coming up. Some things I experienced when I was a kid and I even forgot about them. And when I was taking that healing, I had to stop so many times and cry it out so many times and remind myself that there is no shame in any of these things because it's healing. Healing is difficult, but it gets you there. I remember the very first time I went through the whole video. I woke up feeling very different in my body. I felt lighter, like something had some weight had been taken off of me. So that's how I knew I had to come and share this too. So the womb healing is connected to an energetic point in your body called the sacral chakra. If you want to Google about the chakras, which I highly recommend, you will find that the sex chakra or the sacral chakra is responsible for your creativity. It is responsible also for the organs around the sacral chakra. It is near the womb area, to the front and to the back. So everything, a chakra is supposed to be balanced. If it is overly out of balance, it's either depleted, it doesn't have too much energy, or it is too energized. It does not do you any favors. It actually will cause imbalance in your relationships. It will cause imbalance in your work. even in your parenthood, whatever it is you're doing, if your chakras are out of balance, they need to be balanced. So one of the other reasons why you should do this womb healing or practice forgiveness is for you to let go of the excessive energies and traumas that are in your chakras. But we're going to talk about chakras in a different session in more detail. If you do not feel like you're ready for forgiveness, it's advisable that you get someone that you trust. You can seek a coach, you can seek therapy. There's no shame, there's no guilt. If anything, if the more you feel shame and guilt, the more you delay your success. That's a negative vibration, and we want to go to higher vibrations. So forgiveness gets you there. And another way to look at this is, if you forgive someone, you're not exonerating them from what they did. You're just cutting imagine if you're holding like a rope that you tie it with the person that you are yet to forgive. You are holding them. You're the one holding them and dragging them everywhere with you. So you end up working and doing all these things that you're trying to do, but nothing is happening because you're carrying a load. So what happens with forgiveness is that you cut it and then you leave the load off, you become lighter and you're able to rise, like the balloon I gave the example of. But you leave now the universe or God or karma to deal with that person. So it's not exonerating that other person. It is letting yourself go. One of the things that I have found that literally had held me back was lack of forgiveness. And I'm telling you, I had to just speak about this because I know so many people will go and seek all these other solutions, but ultimately you'll still have to come home to the truth that you have to let people go. And you can only be forgiven if you forgive. And Jesus said we have to keep forgiving 7 times, 7 times, 7, 7, 7 times. That's what he meant, because he knew that would be good for you. So I'd like to hear what you think in the comment section about forgiveness. Are you struggling to forgive? What new insights have you gotten from this? Is there something that is on your mind that has been evoked by this conversation? And would you want us to have more of these conversations? I'm happy to have more of this. But for now, I just wanted to share my story, and tell you there's hope. And there is freedom at the other side of forgiveness. This has been Beauty Lies Beyond, where we believe that healing is not about escaping the pain, but discovering what is sacred beyond it. Until next time, walk with grace.